Welcome back, friends and family of the internet and fellow watchers on the wall. Welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. My name is Samantha Starkey, and today we're going to pivot. Rather than look at what's going on geopolitically, we're going to pull in and we're going to look more specifically at something called the Epstein files. We're going to deep dive this a bit. We're going to tie this into Turning Point USA. We're going to discuss whether or not Jeffrey Epstein is actually deceased. And we're going to kind of go into that. But I want to just stop for a second. I want you all to take a deep breath. And I want to say this to you. Do you guys remember in the book Jeremiah, chapter 38, where Jeremiah is going, he's a prophet, and he went to the king of Jerusalem and he said, look, the city's fixing to fall to Babylon. And this is what you need to do. Let me tell you what it says. Thus saith the Lord, he that remaineth in the city shall die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence. And he that goeth forth to the Chaldeans shall live, for he shall have his life for a prey and shall live. Thus saith the Lord, the city shall surely be given into the hand of the king of Babylon's army, which shall take it. Therefore the princes said unto the king, we beseech ye that let this man be put to death, for thus he has weakened the hands of the men of war that remain in the city, and the hands of all the people, in speaking such words unto them. For this man seeketh not the welfare of this people, but the hurt. And they threw him in a cistern and were going to starve him to death. And thank the Lord, praise God, someone stepped in and saved him. Well, I want to make this point. I'm not trying to destroy the Republican Party. I'm not trying to hurt Donald J. Trump. I'm trying to save those who are willing to be saved. But right now, there is a smear campaign going on. Any conservative who's got half a brain that's just gently pushing back and saying, maybe we need to wake up. Maybe we need to look at the writing on the wall, at the evidence around us. Maybe we were cockled. Maybe we were lied to. Maybe this is a psychological warfare. Maybe nothing is what it seems to be. Maybe it's all smoke and mirrors. The ones of us willing to say that, the ones willing to say, whoa, maybe not cheer everything he's doing, doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with us. Maybe we're simply hearing what the Holy Spirit's telling us. But just like Jeremiah, people want to discredit us, be angry at us. The Bible repeats itself, doesn't it? Don't forget to pick up your copy of Growing Under a Poison Sky, friends and family of the internet. And let's get into this because what I've got to show you today is going to be a bit disturbing, as usual. You've got to be willing to see what's in front of your face. You have to stop aligning yourself. Your identity is not your politics. Your identity is you. Your identity should be found in Jesus and Jesus alone, not with some online prophet, right? So I do want to point this out. 15 hours ago, there was an active terror threat for Dallas, Texas, including 14 schools. Whether this is a psyop or not, it does deserve to be brought up to you guys. I want you to know about this. If you're in the Texas area, your kids or family members, friends, nieces, nephews, godchildren attend these 14 schools or any school in that area. Maybe today and tomorrow be a great time to take off until they figure it out. This is how we're going to start this. We're going to go back in time. We're going to talk real quick all about how they used our airports and, child advocacy
We have
groups
footage
to
here
move children.
that a lot of these children don't know the sponsors that they are going to. What's going on? There's kids in the car here. They're moving these kids. They just turned the lights off. This is the MVM headquarters that we are currently at. There are kids in this van right here that they are moving. There's somebody that's going to come out. Let's see what they have to say. Hey, are you a manager here? Hey, we've spoken to some of these children, and they tell us that they don't know a lot of times the sponsors that they're going to. Do you have any comment on that at all?
No, I don't.
This is MVM, correct?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure. Excuse me. What's going on here? There they go. And notice they got out of here in such a hurry that they just left their bags here. Think about that. They got out of here. We don't even know what's in those bags. They just left them there and they took off in the van in such a hurry because that's how secret this operation is. They do not want you to know what is going on. That van that we just confronted, they are now taking off. We are following them. We believe that they're taking these kids to the airport. We have talked to some of these children that you guys escort, and some of these children have told us that their friends don't know the sponsors that they're going to. Are you okay with that? Excuse me, why are you all wearing masks? Do you have any comment on that? Why are you hiding your identity? Do you have any shame, sir? There's still time to redeem yourself. Would you like to see the footage that we caught of the girl and Minnie, what's going on? Were their IDs even checked just there? Were their IDs even just checked? Who checked their IDs? I didn't see any ID check just there. There was no ID check.
Right.
Why weren't their IDs checked? If I was going to go here...
I can't talk to you about that.
I'm going to ask you, why do you guys ID American citizens when those children can't do you guys an ID number?
I'm not going to say anything on camera.
Are a lot of the kids coming over here, are they trafficked or like what's the...
Some are. I'm not going to lie. Some are.
Does that happen a lot that the kids come over here with a totally fake name?
It has.
Yeah?
I mean, there's no way for us to verify.
And there it is. There's no way for us to verify. They don't want to verify. Okay. Then there was this turning point. You guys remember this was a Turning Point USA Student Action Summit. That was July 16th of 2025. Listen to what they said about the Epstein files.
Spirits of the government, and whatever they're hiding, they should probably release it because we deserve to know the truth.
I don't think we're going to get it released in the administration. I think that regardless of not he's guilty or not, I don't think it's going to come out during this administration. I think it's going to kind of be swept under the rug.
I could really care less, to be quite honest. It's not going to affect me either way.
I guess I always think people should keep promises, what they promise and what they say is important. But on the other hand, sometimes, for example, there is a higher goal behind things. So let's say he would have even a bigger goal behind all this, which would benefit like so many people. And this would be like a, like smaller thing in comparison to this. Then I would be like, okay, maybe if it's for the better, then whatever he needs to do. But if it's just something, not feeling well, then I think he should release it.
Wow. I didn't realize how thick the propaganda on the right was until I just stepped back and asked the Lord to show me the truth. If you don't think that you're living in an echo chamber, if you're still claiming that somehow everything that Trump does is amazing and there's a bigger plan and I should just shut up, stay home, and trust the plan, you still have not opened your eyes. Let me find what I want to show you guys.
That means that is a distraction. Our world is literally a stage. And for those out there that don't understand what that means, it means that what you are looking at is fake. It means.
And I want to show you this again. I saw this the other day. Look at Maduro's. This was a drawing for a newspaper that was going to be put out showing him in court. Look at the Masonic hand signal. He's signaling. Really? You think he's standing in court like this? Come now, people. Come now.
What that means? It means that what you are looking at is fake. It means that what you are reading is fake. It means that there are actual actors in this world, the people that you think are actually calling the shots. They are acting out a script to distract you from what is really going on, and what is really going on is biblical, and it is happening behind the curtain. They always have to tell us because of their rules and their laws. So it takes discernment, it takes spiritual eyes, it takes sitting back and analyzing the situation and not letting your emotions get the better of you.
Come on, sister.
It means applying critical thinking, which I know there is not much left of. It means applying common sense, which I know is almost non-existent anymore. It means thinking about the reality of our world. And if you are a follower of the Lord Jesus Christ, you know that this world, you should know that this world is ran by Satan. This world is in the control of the evil one. That means that what we are looking at, Satan has his hands in. And we need to be spiritually intelligent when we are reading what is on our phones, when we are watching the news, when we are out in the world, when we are looking at the events of this world.
And I just want to say this. Do you guys know that when slavery was legal in America, that there were priests, pastors, and preachers that stood in pulpits in America claiming slavery was from God? God intended Black people, and this is true, look it up, to be in slavery because they were less than. America needed these people for the sugar cane, for the cotton, for the rice. God sent them to us. And when people started pushing back to absolve slavery, praise Jesus, there were people that were angry. How dare you? These are our slaves. God gave them to us. I have seen people leave comments saying that we need these illegal aliens. We need them to do jobs that Americans don't want to. You mean slave jobs? I have seen supposed looking like Kim Clement prophets with their music in the background claiming that the oil was from God for America. Either you believe God created sovereign countries and that America, under the guidance of our loving Father, have a right to our sovereign nation, and so do the others, or you don't believe that, but you can't believe them both. It doesn't make spiritual sense. If America is sovereign by the great and beautiful Lord above, because this is the country that he gave us, then Venezuela, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Greenland, Canada, they are their own countries, folks.
Christ called us to be watchful. We are living in the last days. And so not everything is what it seems. Most everything isn't what they tell us. They are presenting to you distractions so you don't look at this world and know that the Bible is playing out right in front of your eyes. Mm-hmm. The Nephilim agenda, the globalist agenda, they are one and the same, is what is being set up. That is what they are doing behind the curtain, because they are ushering in the Antichrist. But they present to you all of this political theater, so you're looking over here instead of looking.
That says implantable technology. 6G will also provide faster, more resilient, and more secure communication networks that can be utilized for national security and public safety purposes. This is off whitehouse.gov. Section 1 purpose: the next generation of mobile communication networks, 6G, will be foundational to national security, foreign policy, and I can't see that. I think economic prosperity of the United States. This technology will play a pivotal role in the development and adoption of emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, robots, and implantable technologies. The Antichrist is going to implant the mark, friends and family. Now, whether or not you believe Jeffrey Epstein is alive or dead, I think you should hear this lady.
And their body relaxes. All of it, including your jaw. And when the jaw relaxes and someone is lying on their back, gravity takes over and the mouth opens. Not dramatically, just naturally. So naturally, in fact, that at the funeral home, we don't just hope the mouth stays closed. We actually have to physically close it, and we have a few different techniques on how to do that, but we'll have to talk about that in another video. That's not poetic, that's not optional, that's anatomy. There are techniques for it because without intervention, it will not stay shut. Have you ever been sleeping in the middle of the night and your mouth just pops open? You can feel that your mouth has popped open and you've been inhaling through your mouth, so your mouth is all dry and scratchy. It happens when you die too, because it just relaxes. You're going to be thinking about me when you wake up in the middle of the night and you slept with your mouth open. You're going to be like, oh, Lauren, why? So when I see an individual like Jeffrey Epstein laying flat on his back with his mouth naturally closed, no tape, no visual support, no tension, my brain immediately goes, okay, well, the muscle tone is still there. And muscle tone does not exist in a deceased individual. And this is one of those little details. I know it's little, but it's a big detail. And people don't realize that because movies, when you watch movies and they suddenly pass away, movies lie to us. Television lies to us. Dead people on screen always look peaceful, mouth closed, perfect, calm. I always think of Snow White. She looked beautiful, right? Her mouth is just perfectly closed. But that's not reality. Reality is gravity. Reality is relaxation. Reality is the body doing exactly what physics tells it to do. So right out the gate, before I even look at anything else, that closed mouth tells me I am not looking at a deceased person. And once I clock that, I move on to the next thing, because the mouth isn't the only part of the body that gives this away. The eyes are next, and those are loud. After death, dehydration starts almost immediately. It does not wait. It does not care. The eyes are one of the first places that you can actually see it. The surface of the eyeball starts to dry out. The corneas lose that wet, reflective look. The eyes flatten and they dull. Dehydration is not my friend in the funeral home. It's one of the very first things we are constantly fighting. In this photo, though, the eyes are still moist. Are those tears? Are his eyes leaking? I don't know, but they definitely look full and hydrated and puffy in a way that suggests fluid is still being regulated in the body. That is not what I expect to see in someone who is deceased. Dead eyes don't look like that. They just don't. And I know it's just a...
Dead eyes don't lie. All right, so now that we've established that and the fact that Turning Point USA Summit kids don't really care about Epstein files, let's go here.
The Epstein files. And if you're confused, you're not alone. For months, Trump called this whole issue Democrat hoax. His Department of Justice released a memo in July saying that there was nothing more to share. And he attacked members of his own party who pushed for transparency. Then, last week, the House passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act. The Senate passed it unanimously. Trump signed it the same day. So why is he approving of this now? Well, there's a lot of rumor mongering and theorizing, and it's leaving everyone pretty confused. So I want this to be the one video that you have to watch to understand what is going on right now with the Epstein files. The Department of Justice.
And let me say this. Dan Bongino leaving is because he realized he could not fix Washington. He realized that they were all in on it together, and he left. Let me get it to where I want it. It's about 7 minutes in because this gets really good. He's going to get into Pam Bondy. If I can get it to catch up. Hold on, you guys.
Epstein climbed to do the Epstein. I have no problem with it. So by the time Trump took office, expectations were already high. It would be strong to say that Trump was campaigning on it because it's just something that he responded to in interviews. But his own people had been saying for years that a secret list existed and they'd release it. Fast forward to February, when Attorney General Pam Bondy raised expectations even more. On February 21st, she was asked on Fox News if a client list would be revealed.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen? It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
Now, whether she meant an actual client list or just the case files, she created massive expectations that there was more to come. And then she made things even worse when, in February, she held a press conference. She invited MAGA influencers to the White House.
And by the way, if you have been watching me for any amount of time, you know I covered that and I was furious. I told you guys then that was a bunch of crap.
Handed them white binders labeled the Epstein Files Phase 1. They treated this like it was a victory lap. But when people looked at what was in those files, they realized that almost everything in there had already been made public. So people were frustrated and disappointed. But Pam Bondy said, well, don't worry, a Phase 2 release is coming. Fast forward to July 2025. Instead of a Phase 2 happening, the Department of Justice releases a 2-page memo. They say no client list exists. Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. No further disclosure would be appropriate. That was it. Trump's base erupted. The very people who had been hyping the client list for years were now in charge. And they were saying it doesn't exist. And then to make matters worse, instead of addressing the concerns, Trump called the whole thing a Democrat hoax. He questioned why people were obsessing over a dead guy. He attacked members of his own party who pushed for transparency.
And so let me make that point right now. I did not turn on Trump. Trump turned on us. He tried to gaslight us. He got into office on 3 major points. The Epstein files, and don't lie, we all know it's true. Getting rid of illegal aliens and shutting the border because you and I were concerned about trafficked children. And taking care of like the cost of medical, Social Security raises, the cost of living. That's why we voted him in. And all 3 things he's failing us on.
He called Marjorie Taylor Greene, Marjorie Trader Greene, and Thomas Massie the worst Republican in Congress. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of Trump's most loyal defenders for 5 years. And after Trump called her a traitor, she broke with him publicly. She stood with Epstein survivors outside the Capitol demanding the file release. She told the public how after Trump called her a traitor, she started receiving death threats. And to top things off, after Trump withdrew his endorsement and said he'd back a primary challenger to Marjorie Taylor Greene, she announced that she's resigning from Congress effective January 5th, 2026.
And remember, today's January 7th, 2026. On January 6th, 2026, we were down 2 Republican congressmen. Marjorie Taylor Greene's gone. The one from California dies. We've got one from a horrible accident in the hospital, and nobody ever knows what Massey's going to do.
In an interview with CNN, she did something pretty remarkable for a politician. When asked why she never spoke out when Trump attacked his political opponents the same way, she said, I think that's a fair criticism. And I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics.
I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country.
Yeah, it is.
And it's been something I've thought about a lot, especially since Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
Whatever you think of her.
So let me say this. This is how DC works. Get in the boat with me or we are enemies. All right. So right now, Lindsey Graham, who in 2016 said that if we elected Donald Trump as president, we would get exactly what we deserve, is now flying around on Air Force One, basically being a war whore, getting overly excited about Cuba. Yeah. From enemy to friend. Marjorie Taylor Greene backed Trump 100% from friend to enemy. This is why I said, if you're willing to cut me off and disassociate with me because I have a differing political opinion now that the Lord opened my eyes, then you're doing exactly what the propagandists want you to do.
That's a positive thing to say. Now, before Congress actually passed the bill demanding the release of the files, Trump was resistant, but suddenly he reversed course. He posted on Truth Social that Republicans should support the bill. And in the House, the bill passed 427-1. In the Senate, the bill passed unanimously. And Trump signed the bill the same day, starting the clock. The Department of Justice now has 30 days from November 19th to release the files. Trump also ordered the DOJ to specifically investigate Democrats connected to Epstein, like Bill
Clinton, JP Morgan. Yeah, here's my thing. There's going to be just as many Republicans in those files, if we could ever get them. The Jeffrey Epstein files. Now, this is from 2023, but it matters because they've spread it out for so long and they are constantly giving you something new to focus on. It's hard to keep up with the timeline. But in the beginning, we knew from the beginning that people like Chris Rock, Peter Thiel, Richard Branson, those people were involved with Epstein. Now you see Peter Thiel everywhere, right? And now this is back in 2025. I already mentioned this, but no one finds it a little weird that John and his wife Irina Mappin helped Charlie Kirk set up Turning Point UK. The same John Mappin who was in Jeffrey Epstein's little black book. Mappin also attended the memorial. It's all one network. It's all connected. It is all one network. Oh, and there she is. There she is. The divine feminine, America's happiest widow. Oh, and look where they are. They're in Jerusalem together. And there he is at the memorial. And there he is in the little black book. And where did Candace Owens meet her husband? At Turning Point UK. Did you know Jeffrey Epstein planned to turn his New Mexico Zorro Ranch into a baby-making factory to seed the human race with his DNA? Why? God told us, Jesus was so clear. Do not let any man deceive you. And when it's like the days of Noah and Lot, I'm going to return. God created the first great reset when he flooded the entirety of the earth. Flooded the whole thing. Why? Because the angels and humans, the mixing of the DNA, it was a seed war. Now we're looking at things through eyes wide open and we're in a seed war again. Here we have Donald Trump passing executive orders, signing them into basically an executive order, right? Saying, oh, we're going to get 6G rolled out. Do you guys not remember people fighting against 5G in 2020? Look how fast it's moving. Look how fast it's accelerating. Time is speeding up. Why? Because God told us if he doesn't speed it up, the possibility of the elite, the elect, we would fall. So I'm going to say this. If you watched the Upside Down World, Stranger Things, in season 5, where they show all those women strapped to tables, pregnant, with bags of blood hanging beside them, with the intention of doing something to those children, you understand they're showing you what they're actually doing. Did you know Jeffrey Epstein planned to turn his New Mexico Zorro Ranch into a baby-making factory to seed the human race with his DNA? This ranch, notorious for its dark history, was sold August 2023 to San Rafael Ranch LLC, a company only a few weeks old at the time. This is also what Epstein openly wanted to do on the property. Disturbing genetic experiments, discussions on genetically enhancing humans, mysterious stalker particle research, funding efforts to identify a particle causing the feeling of being watched. Popular social media investigator, which I do not like him, Ian Carroll, was just at the gates of the property today, 12/29/24, checking out the property. The 7,588-acre property, which includes 33,000 square foot mansion, was initially listed for $27 million in 2021, then reduced to $21 million due to its grim past. It was sealed with a special warranty deed by the executor of Epstein's estate, Darren Indike, hinting at the murky depths of Epstein's activities yet to be fully uncovered. By the way, thank you to everyone who's been supporting my husband with his medical expenses, which is listed at the top. If you add your email, excuse me, you guys, we'll make sure you get the monthly newsletter. But I am starting an e-series on Amazon. You will be able to print it. And eventually, once I get enough of these small booklets made, I'll combine them into one book you could purchase. But the booklets are going to be inexpensive, like $2.99 to $4.99. Each one is going to cover a specific topic of information. People are very short on time. You have to work. You have all the stuff you have to do, right? Reading a book takes time. That's why Growing Under a Poison Sky is only 88 pages. I don't have time for the fluff, and neither do you. But these booklets will be like 5 to 10 pages max. They'll give you the basic information on things like technocracy, decoding MAGA. I mean, it'll be like really cool information. I'll make sure I get that to you guys as I get them put up. And I think it's going to help. All right. So everybody's been telling me about DUMBs. And because of you guys, I began to research that. Do not forget that Turning Point USA and Erica Kirk are being tied to the base in Arizona and everything going on there. So DUMBs, deep underground military bases, are used by the deep state to smuggle children for, and I cannot say this word without getting in trouble, harvesting, child rearing, and horrific experiments. 8 million children are reported missing in the U.S. each year. Have we forgotten that Jeffrey Epstein had a giant ranch where girls were flown in? He had a baby factory there. Baby factories are places where undocumented children are raised for S blank X, organ harvesting, there's that word again, mind control, SA rituals, cannibalism, and anything else you can imagine. There was a private runway. His plane called the Lolita Express, and he had several planes. Prince Andrew and many celebrities, politicians, and world leaders would visit. Epstein even had an X-rated portrait of a nude Maxwell with her legs spread as a centerpiece of a group party for minors. The victim claimed Epstein's Zorro Ranch had computer rooms the size of houses that monitored guests. The reason we're never going to get the entire Epstein file is because it is how they control world leaders. The CIA allows children to be abused so that then they have information on other people and they can blackmail. The maze of rooms, doors, vestibules, waiting areas, and doorways were undoubtedly used with maximum efficiency to trap and hold victims until they were needed for the next ritual. Were there underground tunnels at Zorro Ranch? Every year, the Albuquerque Journal publishes publishes legal notices stating that Zorro Inc., Epstein's company, wants to change the location of a well, dig deeper into new aquifers, or change the location of the well again. Why? The well keeps moving. And why does he need so much water if he's not using the land for its intended purpose? He has no livestock. He's not gardening. So why does he keep asking for permission to dig so deep? Was Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch isolated? Was there a secret base there? Jeffrey Epstein's New Mexico ranch where he planned to build a baby factory. Look at this. You know what house this is, right? You can't make this up. Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch in New Mexico won the New Mexico Powerball lottery for $85 million in 2008. Did you just hear me? This non-human cretin created a eugenics lab baby factory within and beneath the ranch, where he was impregnating girls with DNA in an effort to breed some kind of alien monsters, right? It's the fallen angel DNA. Read what it says. Mr. Edwards, the Zorro Trust wins an $85 million, claiming the ticket for an $85 million Powerball in 2008. I'm not making this up. So he wanted to keep drilling wells. Look at the underground. Jeffrey Epstein hoped to seed human race with his DNA. It was in the New York Times. The craziest thing, we could go on and on with all the Epstein Island and Epstein Zorro Ranch crap and who's connected to him for days. But what went on underneath those facilities, from trafficking to biolabs to DNA manipulation to water treatment, right? Sick crap to baby forms, does not end. Exposed. Look at the name because I cannot say it. Tech billionaires are now pushing GMO babies, trying to play God. Sam Altman and his husband, right? Sam, another South African tech bro. So odd. How many of these young billionaires came right out of South Africa after apartheid? They tested CRISPR-Cas9 on real human embryos. The entire chromosomes were deleted and the embryo fractured into a chaotic mess. This is horrific. It should be illegal.
I've already tested this in the past. This appears to be Dr. Frankenstein coming back from the dead, back from the 1800s. So what's happening is Sam Altman, OpenAI CEO, and his husband have poured in millions of dollars to Preventive. This is a startup that seeks to edit the genes of embryos, human embryos, and make GMO babies. They claim this is to prevent heritable genetic diseases, but this is the start of the path that leads to designer babies.
And I did a huge video on that just a few weeks ago. Telling you guys, you've got to know. All right, so let's get into this one because it's pretty
Snacks.
good.
So in part one, I mentioned Obama and his staff was mentioned in the files, but get this, Epstein had an email back in 2013 where he was in support of a new rising star named Hakeem Jeffries, in which they call him Brooklyn Obama, but I like to call him Dollar Tree Obama. So compromise, I say yes, let's keep moving. Also in part 1, I mentioned Obama staff member was talking to Epstein about a cook who can wait, in which could have been Obama chef who died, but could it be this chef who was actually the chef for the Clintons who died a year later from that email? Either way, it seems like being a White House chef is a hazardous job. But it gets even wilder. It turns out that Jeffrey Epstein was in contact in real time with this representative of the Virgin Islands, Stacey Plaskett.
Driving through a struggling neighborhood in Chicago, he commented that...
Now, obviously, Trump knew Epstein and all the nefarious shit he was doing, but here's the thing. If Epstein had all this dirt on Trump, why did he need an inside man to influence during an impeachment? But here's the part where it really gets spooky.
Of matters first, I wanted to introduce into the record page 55 from the committee's interview with FBI employee Roya Demlow.
Now that video was from 2019 at a congressional hearing in which this woman was mouthing the same words at the same time as Plaskett under some mind control shit. And I even had to fact check this myself saying, is this AI generated or altered? And AI said, it is not AI generated or deepfake at all. What the hell is going on? Now, if you guys remember in part 1, he was heavily invested into bioengineering and eugenics, but maybe, just maybe, he was also into MK Ultra as well. And if you guys were wondering who that was, her name is Christina Kelsey, in which he has a lot of ties to the DOJ, so there's that. Then there's this weird ass video in the files from 2018. So you mean to tell me there's a dog named Charlie chewing on a Trump toy with Hillary Clinton next to him? I'll let you guys run with that one. Then Trump himself says he wants the Epstein files to be released. First he said it was a hoax. Now he says he wants it to be released. So I guess we'll see. Now there's a lot more than that, but make sure you guys go to my YouTube, The Maverick Approach, because I'm going to do a deeper.
There's that one. But then there's this one.
Did you know that lottery winners have a statistically impossible connection to government agencies? When researchers analyzed major jackpot winners over the past 2 decades, they discovered something shocking. Nearly 40% had previous careers in intelligence, defense contracting, or federal agencies. The odds of this happening randomly? Less than 1 in 847 million. But it gets stranger.
Let's hear that one more time for the kids at the back of the bus.
But it gets stranger. These winners 7 million. But it gets federal agencies. The odds of this happening randomly? Less than 1 in 847 million.
Less than 1 in 847 million. Almost like when I told you guys that the possibility that you'll be involved in 2 mass shooting events in your lifetime is the same odds that you will survive a great white shark attack and be struck by lightning in the same year, but you're going to survive them both.
But it gets stranger. These winners often donate massive portions back to government programs.
Very
within months of winning. Some conspiracy theorists believe state lotteries use quantum computing to manipulate number sequences. They point to excluded combinations that would create too many winners and jackpots that mysteriously spike during budget crises.
And we're in a budget crisis.
The timing seems too perfect. Major jackpots often occur just before states need emergency funding.
Oh,
Internal
really?
Documents allegedly show research into probability manipulation using quantum algorithms.
Well, this is going to be interesting.
The same technology that can predict particle behavior could theoretically control random number generation.
Theoretically.
If true, the lottery isn't gambling at all.
No?
It's a sophisticated wealth redistribution system disguised as chance.
What?
Yeah, so it takes the money from, parishioners. Well, I was going to say that, but it's really like your elderly people that are bored, or they can just get $5 a year from 4 million people. Do the math, folks. The rich get richer. And don't forget, it's Peter Thiel's companies that and Sam Altman, baby designer guy, that can do all of this open AI stuff. The Walt Disney Lab with lead geneticist Dr. Andrew Rourke, MD. How is it that you create a Hillary Duff, a Miley Cyrus from scratch?
Now, Tracy, most of our viewers are already familiar with a lot of the products that have come out of the Disney Lab. Yes, but how exactly do you create a Hillary Duff or a Miley Cyrus from scratch? Right. Well, we're going to find out exactly how it's done right now, because joining us live from the Disney Lab is one of their lead geneticists, Dr. Andrew Rourke. Welcome, Dr. Rourke. There's quite an operation you've got going on out there.
Thanks, Jim. So the stars that we see on TV are actually grown right here?
That's correct. They're grown and developed here. We engineer their brains for advanced singing and dancing capabilities, even posing for photos. By the time they grow to desired size, these child stars are fully ready for the camera or the concert tours or whatever Disney chooses to put them in.
That is simply amazing.
You guys know that's not real, right? That one really isn't. But I wanted to show it to you anyway because it's funny. Epstein's Zorro Ranch underground lab to genetically modify humans and for transhumanism experiments seems far more credible, since new emails that were exposed explain that Epstein wanted to genetically modify people.
By the Lady Rothschild. I first met Jeffrey Epstein. I was introduced to him by the Lady Rothschild. She asked me to meet him.
Do not forget, Erica Kirk has now been tied back to the Rothschilds.
Because he was a major contributor at Harvard.
Yeah, one of the things that I find very intriguing is that Jeffrey Epstein appeared to know all sorts of things about me that were not public and seemed to require almost a periscope into my life, in particular scientific things about me that probably flowed through the Harvard department that I was from which I took my PhD. I don't think that you're grasping how strong the circumstantial case is that this person was somehow attached to intelligence and may have benefited from things like state secret privilege and other forms of exotica in the law.
I was so young. Galen woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." I didn't know at that point that I was going to be trafficked to that prince.
Ghislaine must die in prison because I've been in hell and back for the last 17 years.
And 27 for me.
I was 10 years old when Liz Stein was being trafficked. I was 10.
Epstein was transfixed with transhumanism and life extension technologies. Epstein's sprawling ranch in New Mexico, which was pedantically maintained by staff yet rarely used or visited by Epstein himself, appeared to have one main bizarre function: to serve as a baby-making facility where Epstein would attempt to help foster his dream of, quote, seeding the human race with his DNA by impregnating women. According to the New York Times, Mr. Epstein told scientists and businessmen about his ambitions to use his New Mexico ranch as a base where women would be inseminated with his sperm and would give birth to his babies. Epstein's goal was to have 20 women impregnated at a time at the 33,000 square foot ranch. This is why, since the early 2000s, Epstein became obsessed with ingratiating himself with the technological and scientific elite.
Dulce, New Mexico is 170 kilometers from the Four Corners, an area known for the skinwalkers, who the Hopi tribe describe as a non-human species that live underground. Dulce is 260 kilometers from Scientology's heavily guarded underground Trementina base. And Dulce is 200 kilometers from Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch, which is known to have an 8,000 square foot underground level and is rumored to lead even deeper underground. According to several prominent scientists who Jeffrey Epstein had as guests, Epstein hoped to seed the human race after a cataclysm by impregnating 20 women at a time at the Zorro Ranch. According to Bajorkness, the Kabbalistic teachings include a geocentric model of the Earth with an underworld that extends 7 levels beneath the surface, where a reptilian species lives. These legends foretell a cleansing of the Earth when everyone on the surface will perish, and only those in the underworld will survive. High-level Freemasons allegedly believe in a hollow Earth, where a non-human species rule from an underworld called Agartha, and their most guarded secrets seem to revolve around a cyclical cataclysmic event. Phil Schneider also built submarine bases.
And please understand that when you see the Eye of Horus, you're actually looking at the symbol for sodomy.
And said that most were connected to the vast network of deep underground bases. Ghislaine Maxwell had a submarine license and was known to transport people to Epstein Island through an underwater submarine port. The U.S. military built a submarine base on St. Thomas Island, which is just 13 kilometers from Epstein Island. And right next to this submarine base is Water Island, owned by Joe Biden's brother and their business associate. In a recent interview on Iconic, Juliette Bryant, who was kidnapped by Jeffrey Epstein for 2 years, but she did wake up once paralyzed on a lab table and witnessed Epstein shapeshift into something else.
You know, and I still want to know why exactly I was taken there, because there's a lot more weird stuff going on, because there's something else that they were doing.
The pursuit of life extension and this bizarre baby harvesting program connect with Epstein's sordid sex parties and his trafficking of minors. And bear with me here, because this is where it gets well freaky. Several ancient powerful cults believed that engaging in occult tantric sex magic rituals could extend their lives by decades. One of these cults, the cult of Iana, is reportedly still active in the United States and Europe today. This is all explained in a rare book called Cult and Occult. The book explains how rulers down the centuries believed that sexual contact with minors would re-energize their bodies and extend their lives. This book is actually part of the Stanley Kubrick archives, because Kubrick used it as a primary research source for his movie Eyes Wide Shut, which of course centered around a shadowy elitist cabal based out of New York City that routinely engaged in, well, let's say Epstein-like shenanigans.
You know, this is why the Holy Spirit has had me going back and trying to show people the symbology around you that is indicating that these occult practices are still happening. When I said and did the video, Trump's true religion is Kabbalah, it wasn't to point fingers, it's to wake up Christians. We are called to judge them by their fruit. And a good tree cannot produce bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot produce good.
Gee, I wonder who Kubrick was trying to warn us about.
Who do you think those people were? Those were not just ordinary people there. If I told you their names, I'm not going to tell you their names, but if I did, I don't think you'd sleep so well.
These people are not like us. None of them are. They call your children kids for a reason. You are expendable.
As is depicted in the film, the sex magic rituals performed by Epstein and his co-conspirators weren't just about fulfilling their perverted sexual fantasies. They were also part of the occult belief that absorbing psychosexual energy from victims would actually make them live longer. Bizarre beyond belief. I know how crazy it sounds. But the life extension angle with Epstein was literally reported by the New York Times. No one's talking about any of that though. No one's talking about the missing blackmail material from Epstein's mansion. Everyone's still being distracted by complete nothing burgers like Prince Andrew and Stephen Hawking. Questions also continue to swirl over the weirder proclivities of what Epstein and his elite cohorts were really up to. We know that Epstein was obsessed with trying to groom the tech elite. His infamous dinners with Bill Gates.
What did you know about him when you were meeting with him?
I had dinners with him. I regret doing that.
He also
I regret, Elon Musk regrets. They all regret, right? I'm just saying, friends, when are we going to realize that we're never going to see the full list because it's now being used, by our government to probably take over more countries? Look at this. This is very interesting.
So this is one of the neat things about the U.S. Capitol. Of course, this building, construction started in the 1700s. And there are all sorts of little hidden passageways. You saw I just pulled this cover up. And you can see if we get the camera to come over, don't fall in. We don't need a workers' comp claim today. But you can see there's a passageway. These are long stairs that used to be here that were closed off. We're just off of what's called Statuary Hall, which at one time was the actual House chamber. So, and it's outside there. But this is just an example of some of the little hidden secrets in the Capitol. And so one of the things when we bring tour groups in, if it's a small enough group, if it's a big group, but if it's a small group, we'll actually take them down this hall. Believe it or not, my big self have actually gotten down, and more importantly, out of this hall. I'm not going to debut that.
I wonder where it leads.
But suffice to say, I've been able to live and tell about it and get out of there. But it goes all the way down. It's an old staircase, and I'm told, I can't verify this, I'm told that this staircase, which opens to, if you go down, formerly open to the outside, was one of the staircases that British soldiers used when they breached the Capitol during the War of I think it was 1814 when they actually attacked Washington. When they came in, it was one of the stairs that British soldiers actually came up. So a lot of just amazing history in this building. And so when folks come from North Carolina, we try to show things that if it's a small enough group, things are timed right, and actually let folks go down there. The kids seem to love it. A lot of older folks, not so much. But it's just one of the neat things about the Capitol as well as the other day-to-day things.
Yeah, there you go, folks. All right, one more and I've got to go. Epstein's Island, Little St. James, wasn't just a beach resort. It had a bizarre fake temple, ventilation shafts on a hill, large sealed doors, and confirmed underground tunnels.
Expose it plainly. There are dozens, possibly hundreds, if not thousands, of young girls whose names we will never know. No depositions, no press coverage, no lawsuits, no memorials. They are just erased. And what happened to them? Were they silenced permanently via being accidented, suicided, or disappeared? Were they threatened into lifelong isolation? Or were they like Virginia Giuffre? Before the world even knew her name, just another girl in the shadows of a billionaire's playground. Consider this. Why were there underground tunnels on Little St. James Island? Confirmed by drone footage and construction reports, the island had a subterranean infrastructure, a bizarre temple-like structure with a fake dome, air vents dotting the landscape, disconnected from any visible buildings.
Remember what domes mean. That's why the Lord had me showing you guys obelisk, right? The obelisk is supposed to be the male, and the dome is the female. Go look at pictures of Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States. I love you, friends and family, but it's no more eyes wide shut. On this channel, we are eyes wide open. It does not matter what political party. It does not matter what religion they claim. All that matters here is the truth. Sometimes we're going to nail it. Sometimes we might miss the mark. But you can trust and believe the Holy Spirit's going to bring it back, tuck it in. And I appreciate the ones of you that have helped me get to this place. I love you all so much. I'm going to eat lunch with my husband. I slept on the floor again last night. We had a dog issue at about 12:15, and the dogs were all barking and running through the house and over Mom. It was absolute insanity in this house last night. But praise the Lord, we're all safe today. And now I may take a nap when he goes back to work. But I love you guys so much. Be blessed. Remember, God has a plan for us, but he told us to expose the darkness. So there's no more hiding. We're going to talk about things truthfully. I understand if it's too much for you, but if it's not too much for you, hit the like button, share these videos out. If you can, hype them. If not, share them. God bless you guys, and thank you for your time.